Welcome, everybody, to another edition of All In with Art Stapleton, a New York Giants podcast brought to you by NorthJersey.com and The Record. I'm your host, Art Stapleton, and we are recording from Giants training camp. Day 7 just finished up a little while ago, and you can exhale, Giants fans. Not only did we tell you the other day that there was nothing serious, quote unquote, with Malik Nabers and his shoulder. Well, he returned to the practice field today, did not miss any time, and turned in a Malik-esque touchdown on a moon ball from Russell Wilson. We'll get to that in a second. SummerSlam weekend this week, and it's been 1995 was when Lawrence Taylor was one of the main events of WrestleMania. And obviously SummerSlam is not WrestleMania, but it's pretty damn close. Went against another Jersey legend in Bam Bam Bigelow, if you are a professional wrestling fan. But little birdie has told me that SummerSlam, expect to see some Giants ringside at MetLife Stadium. Might be the group making a bid to be the best defensive line in football. So remember where you heard it first. If you're a wrestling fan and you're watching WWE this weekend, I will be there as well, thanks to my lovely wife, and I will be a part of the experience. So if I am within earshot of the Giants and they are ringside, I will do whatever I can to capture the moment. Speaking of SummerSlam, just one other thing before we get into today's practice. Just wanted to make sure you check out my story on NorthJersey.com. Danny Sikelski, who is in WWE LFG, Legends and Future Greats. She's a rising star in the wrestling business and spent a lot of time in New Jersey, going back and forth from her home in Connecticut to a cheerleading elite gym down in Freehold. But also, she's a huge New York Giants fan. Her parents are season ticket holders. Her grandparents on her father's side were season ticket holders going all the way back to the Polo Grounds and Yankee Stadium, the old Giants Stadium. Check out that story. I had a lot of fun talking to Danny about the wrestling business in general, but her love for the Giants, where it fit in, where she got her competitive edge. They sent us some great photos, not only of Danny in WWE, but also from her with the Giants in the equipment room, in the locker room in the old stadium, sitting in Eli Manning's locker, holding his helmet, with Victor Cruz, Tom Coughlin in the new digs. So I had a lot of fun writing that story. And some people here at Giants today asked me, how did you come up with that story? And I think it's, to me, I'm very proud of it. And it's kind of an old school. Those of you who've known me for a while, pre-all-in days, I covered high schools. I used to love digging for stories, investigative features, trying to find connections. And the WWE has this show, WWE LFG, which is basically a reality show of young wrestlers in their developmental program at the Performance Center down in Florida. And every Sunday night on A&E, there's the show. And basically they're battling through the year. And at the end of the show, someone gets a promotion, a man and a woman, up to NXT. Well, that's the background. Danny Sikelski has been on both seasons of LFG. And I was watching it one Sunday night, and she was a cheerleader at Penn State, captain of the team. And when you talk about looking for other opportunities, she ended up working with the Titans for a year as a cheerleader with Tennessee, and then had a tryout for WWE. And she is now part of WWE. But I was watching that show, and they're talking about her background, and then they said, well, her father has worked for the New York Giants for 25 years. And then they just kind of ended it. And that kind of was a light bulb moment for me. I had to put on my investigative hat and try to find out, A, who was her father? Well, the answer is Mike Sikelski. He not only has his own business in Connecticut, but he works in the equipment room with the equipment staff, and he has for more than 2 decades. He's here at training camp, and then he does on game days, now just home games, but it used to be home and road games. I started digging more and more, got the opportunity to talk to Danny. Paul Wood and I tried getting Danny on All In, and she was all for it. She had her Super Bowl 46 jersey with all autographs, Tom Coughlin's signature in the neck. And unfortunately, she was getting ready for a show at a community center down in Florida, and the Wi-Fi sucked. And we had to just do it by phone. We couldn't keep the video going. But we are going to try to get Danielle back. And I say Danny because that's her character's name, but Danielle is really what she goes by. So a little bit of real life involved with the reality of professional wrestling and football. But check out that story. And again, if I can get Danny on the show again, I really want to do it because she's got a great story to tell and a lot of memories. By the way, her godfather is none other than Myron Guyton, who won Super Bowl 25 with the Giants, big player for the Giants back in 25. So this is a real story with real ties to the Giants. So if you haven't seen it yet, please check it out on NorthJersey.com. All right, let's get to practice. Malik Nabers, essentially going into today, that's all that mattered because we had to see how Malik was doing. On Tuesday, he went off, landed on his shoulder awkwardly on a run play. It was really more of a crackback block, and he goes off with Ronnie Barnes into the facility, and speculation goes crazy. Well, right after the practice, I told you that I talked to sources within the building, and they didn't believe it was anything serious to Nabers. I thought maybe they'd pull back a little bit after the off day yesterday for the players. Nabers was right back out there as if nothing happened. And then in one of the team periods, he ran a good route, really a stop and go route, and a lot of contact from Cordell Flott mid-route. And I thought what was interesting is that Nabers just kept going. He fought through the contact and then created separation at the end. And it was one of those classic, as I said in the open, Russell Wilson moonballs, and Nabers made a great catch. I'm sure the Giants will have that video. I retweeted a video of Bobby Skinner, was representing him the other day for Giants Nation Pod, so you can check out that video on X. Also, I am representing the K-12 tailgate. All our guys out there, Paul Wood and friends, Eric and the like, you've always been a part of this show, at least the last couple of years. So appreciate the lid from Paul Wood, and I will represent K-12. A lot of loyal guys, as I said the other day when I posted a photo, loyal to the Giants, season ticket holders. They're here every week. So I appreciate their kindness to kind of get me and hook me up with a hat. So I'll always represent when I can. So that's the story with Nabers. Let's get to Jackson Dart a little bit because I think this was an important practice for him. Now, we've talked all along about how Brian Dable has tried to throw curveballs at Jackson Dart. You can go all the way back to last Friday when at the end of the practice, Jameis Winston in a move the ball period, which is essentially down and distance. That's what I used to know it as. The down and distance period, Jameis Winston moved the team down inside the red zone, and then Brian Dable, unbeknownst to anyone on the coaching staff or anyone on the field, and Jackson Dart, he threw Jackson Dart in the game or in practice, but in the situation. Jackson Dart ended up throwing a touchdown pass to Cam Scatterboo, and it was a great moment for Jackson Dart on Friday. Then on Sunday, Jackson Dart was the one driving the move the ball period, ended up throwing the pass to the back of the end zone to rookie Daquan Felton, and it was deflected by Trey Hawkins. Cam Scadaboo, again, almost made a ridiculous circus catch. He was there. Just the tip of his right cleat was out of bounds. I'm sure you've seen the video by now. If you haven't, check out Art Stapleton at TikTok. Yes, we're on TikTok as well now. All over. Why not? Why not, right? So we're all over Instagram and TikTok. Instagram and Twitter is Art_Stapleton. TikTok is just Art Stapleton straight away. So the reason I said this was an important practice for Jackson Dart is that end of practice Tuesday, Brian Dable threw Jackson Dart in again. This time they were lining up from the 10-yard line. It was the third team offensive line who he no longer works with. And they threw Dart in there. And it was a mess. And it was really a tough spot for the rookie to go in. Not only does he have to communicate with everybody that's out there that he really doesn't have a rapport with. He's been working with the second team really since day 2 of training camp. And Brian Dable said the first play, Jackson Dart was trying to hustle up and kind of create his own play, design his own play, because we find out afterwards, Dable cut all the communication from the coaches to the quarterback in that spot. So the quarterback and the offense and the defense didn't have communication with Shane Bowen. And they had to basically come up with something to make that play happen. And Jackson Dart tried coming up with a play, wasn't able to communicate it to everybody. They got to delay a game. Then with Jimmy Morrissey at center, again, he's not working with too much with Jimmy Morrissey, who's the third center. Morrissey snapped it too soon, bounces off Dart's chest. It's a fumble, and that's the last day for Jackson Dart, the last play for Jackson Dart. Now, the Giants ended up going and having a period when Russell Wilson threw a touchdown to Darius Slayton, but that was the moment, that was the final taste for Jackson Dart. So he has an off day, and we didn't have a chance to talk to Jackson, but I'm guessing that kind of stuck with him Tuesday night, then yesterday on Wednesday, and then when he comes back here today. So Jackson Dart in this practice looked very good. Really moved the ball well, got rid of the ball, had a couple runs that were sweet, had a great pass to Montrell Washington, who had another strong practice here in camp, playing a little bit in the slot, wearing number 80. Washington went up and got a great pass from Dart for a long gain. And I think this week for Dart, I think that's kind of what you want to see. You want to see Dart make those strides after having rough days. And he's going to have rough days. I mean, Dable's stacking the deck against him sometimes. And part of it is the plan to develop him, give him things that maybe he's not anticipating. And we are all building to next weekend, 1 o'clock Saturday in Buffalo, Giants, Bills, preseason opener. And I would imagine Jackson Dart gets the start that game. That's why we will be in Buffalo. I will be on grounds, feet on the ground, boots on the ground at the stadium there in Buffalo in Orchard Park. And we will be there for Jackson Dart and everybody else and everything else that happens with the Giants. But it's going to be a good weekend. So it'll be very interesting to see now how the Giants go from practicing today, not in pads. I'm guessing they'll be in pads tomorrow and Saturday. Then they're off on Sunday. They come back next week. And really next week is about the game and getting ready for the preseason. I would imagine you're not going to see many starters. Will you see Abdul Carter? I'm not sure. We'll have to wait and see for next week. But that's where we're at with the Giants. A couple notes. Wan'Dale Robinson and Jalen Hyatt both back in team drills after sitting out a couple sessions. Hyatt had tightened up, so they wanted to avoid any soft tissue injuries. Wan'Dale took a knee to the quad on Sunday, so he missed a couple days, worked in individuals, and then they were both back today. Wan'Dale caught a slant, and hey, what do you know? The ball placement was great from Russell Wilson, and Wan'Dale beat the defense in the open space, and it would have been a touchdown on the slant. And I saw Wan'Dale Robinson in the field house after the practice, And I joked with him. I said, hey, so that's what it's like when you can get into the open field, when there isn't a defender behind you crushing you because you ran right to the sticks and had to catch a pass, and then the pass was up here and you couldn't move. So, again, not trying to disrespect any quarterbacks that were here last year, namely the one in Daniel Jones who was in Indianapolis, but ball placement is huge for a guy like Wan'Dale Robinson in the slot. And he made a nice catch and run, and would have had more yards after catch on that one play, I think, than he had all of last season, based on the way defenses were playing the Giants for their lack of deep passing game. So that's where we're at. I think Greg Van Roten, congratulations to be for he and his wife. They are on the verge of having their second child. So Greg was not at practice today. Brian Daboll said he may not be at practice tomorrow. That meant more Evan Neal with the first team. And the more we see Evan Neal, the more ups and downs you're going to see, especially with the first team. So this isn't going to be a one practice, Evan Neal looked good, okay, he's now going to challenge for the starting job. I think you have to consider this a process over the next couple of weeks, see when you get into preseason games and see how Evan reacts, see how teams attack him, see how they attack teams. So it'll be interesting to see. One other note, mentioned Bo Collins several times in the last podcast. Wrote on Bo Collins today at NorthJersey.com. He's the lead to our rookie report. Every week we are going to have a weekly Giants rookie report where I give you something on every rookie on the roster. I think it's cool. I think it's what people want to read. So I'm working to get as much as I can from the rookies and give it to you. Bo Collins today. I think he's kind of a late bloomer here. I know he went to Clemson and then Notre Dame, but I think the Giants may have found something here. He's willing to get out there and throw his body around. Brian Daboll praised him on Thursday morning at his presser. The guy's taking a physical beating, so I wouldn't be surprised if they pull back from him a little bit the next couple of days. And that is going to happen. I mean, we had tremendous heat and humidity here in New Jersey this week. It's going to cool down over the weekend. It's one of the reasons why Cam Scadaboo, I think they pulled back from him in team drills a little bit. He took a beating in the first day of pads, and I think they're just trying to be smart. Don't forget, the players wear that GPS monitoring, and they're checking the GPS monitoring at the end of every night. And if guys look like they're approaching a point where, they may be risk for soft tissue injury, they're going to pull them back. And that's a part of the analytics, but it's also part of the new age medicine here and across the league. I know, you tell guys like Tom Coughlin and Bill Parcells wouldn't want to hear that, but it is the reality. It's the new norm in the NFL. And if they see that a guy is approaching levels where maybe we back off a little bit, that's what we're going to do. So it's not necessarily injuries for some of these guys that you're going to see, but they're being smart with them. And I think it's important. And I think for the Giants, who have been victimized by injuries for the last decade and a half, if I'm a fan, I can't hate them for doing that this summer. Now, yes, you want to create calluses, if you will. You have to get this team ready for week one. They've had slow starts each of the past 2 years. You have to get them to the point where they're ready for week one down there in Washington. But you also have to be smart about it. So that's where we're at as far as that goes. But again, Bo Collins got the star of the game for me, the start of the practice on Tuesday. He's a fun interview. Check out some stuff and make sure you check out my story with him leading with the time that he and Kayvon Thibodeau were at the same middle school in Los Angeles and dominating the basketball court. Got something from Bo in that. I think you guys will enjoy. So that's where we're at. Probably won't be back on the pod till next week, but if Paul and I feel the need, we will be right back. We appreciate you being all in. Keep checking out all our coverage on NorthJersey.com. Like I said, big push on social media, Twitter X and Instagram, art_Stapleton, and on TikTok now, posting as many videos as we can. Art Stapleton reaches all different audiences. So wherever you want to find me, find my Giants coverage, you can find it. And then, of course, you got All In. We're all in, right? We know you're all in. We appreciate it. For Paul Wood and myself, have a great day. Enjoy SummerSlam weekend, and hopefully we'll be back all in next week.